line, which would, of course, include Twitch as well. Okay? If this was being done in a fair and balanced way, I totally would understand it. To have all platforms, specifically ones where radicalization very clearly unfolds in front of our eyes in broad daylight, specifically Twitter. Yeah, this is a real push, though. Okay? This is a real push that's taking place. The House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, Republican from Kentucky, invited the CEOs of Discord, Steam, Twitch, and Reddit to testify on the radicalization of online forum users. Okay? And the reason why they're doing this, the reason why they added Twitch onto this specifically, is even though Twitch has no factor in this investigation whatsoever, whereas Reddit, due to the profile of the roommate being prominent on Reddit, Steam, due to the Steam profile, and Discord, due to the fact that the alleged was on Discord. Those are three platforms that have been mentioned in the investigation. Twitch, on the other hand, has not been mentioned in the investigation at all. And if the conversation is actually about broader online radicalization, then they would obviously factor in Meta, YouTube, Kick, Rumble, Gab, and numerous other right-wing and right-wing adjacent platforms, Twitter obviously being a primary one. The reason why they are mentioning Twitch in this is because of the active efforts by those on the right, on Twitter, and all around to try and deplatform me, because they say Twitch is a totally liberal, woke platform. This is what the Congress of the United States House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Government Reform sent to Dan Clancy. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform requests your testimony at hearing on Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 at 10 a.m. in room HVC 210 of the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center. The hearing will examine the radicalization of online forum users, including incidents of open incitement to commit violent and politically motivated acts. To confirm your appearance at the hearing, please contact the Committee on Oversight Government Reform staff at 202-225, whatever. The Committee on... You will have the opportunity to provide a 5-minute opening statement prior to answering questions posed by members. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is the principal oversight committee of the U.S. House of Representatives and has broad authority to investigate any matter at any time under House Rule X. Thank you in advance for your cooperation to this inquiry. Now, in the past, there have been investigations such as this one. I believe it was about like Russiagate, where people just didn't show up, right? Let's be real. The reason why they sent this to Valve is because Discord, Valve, Steam, and Reddit have been mentioned in this investigation. Twitch has not. So why are they factoring Twitch into this if they're not going to factor in all other social media platforms? I think you all know why. As I tweeted, I said, Twitch is not a factor in the Tyler Robinson investigation at all, and yet they want to bring the platform into the story. There's a sinister reason, and I think you all know what it is. There is a broader conversation to be had about radical line, which would, of course, include Twitch as well. Okay? If this was being done in a fair and balanced way, I totally would understand it. To have all platforms, specifically ones where radicalization very clearly unfolds in front of our eyes in broad daylight, specifically Twitter, when it comes to every single neo-Nazi shooter, for example, that would be understandable. But the reason why they're not doing that, and the reason why they're doing this instead is because this is directional. And the only platform that is mentioned in here that is not relevant or pertinent to the investigation whatsoever is because they want to use the Charlie Kirk to target people like myself. Okay? That's it. I recognize this. This was an initiative that has been circulating for quite a while. This is an initiative that has been in the background due to Israel, due to my anti-Israel commentary for quite a while. And now they are using, instead of using the anti-Israel reasoning, they are using the he is fomenting political violence narrative in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting, which I think is perhaps one of the worst angles of attack, considering that there is nothing I've said that is even remotely violent, especially directed towards Charlie Kirk. And also, I myself was slated to engage in spirited discourse back and forth debate in a public setting against Charlie Kirk. Okay? Twitch does stand out among companies, Steam, Discord, Reddit, that oversight wants to scrutinize, especially since Comer has directly tied the testimony request of the Kirk shooting. The suspect used Discord and reportedly Steam. Right-wing folks have long said Reddit is left-leaning. Okay? And everybody on the ideological right are obviously making it seem as though this is totally relevant. Totally relevant, right? Here is Charlie Kirk was asked why he wasn't willing to debate Nick Fuentes as opposed to someone like Hasan Piker, who he was set to debate less than 2 weeks after the day he was shot. According to Kirk, he saw Hasan as an honest, genuine, good faith actor. This is true, right?
You know, it's funny. I personally do not give a platform to bad faith actors. And I had a whole open about this. And by the way, a really important thing is not to lie and to not bear false testimony. It's fine. I'll answer your question. You know, you said, oh, you know, I want to have a question about Turning Point events. And you obviously lied about your question. Doesn't surprise me because you have deceit. But you know what? Honestly, I'm asked that question all the time. I don't platform trolls. And I don't platform and I don't discuss people or I don't debate with people that are not good faith actors. You know, it's funny. I personally do not give a platform to bad faith actors. And
so, Mr. Hasan, did you see the forward dated letter saying, sorry, Charlie got dead from Israel dated September 2nd? Yeah, I saw that. I think that's just, I can chalk that up as a accident, like in the initial, when they were putting it out there. Yeah. Slasher says the government is scapegoating social media, chat, and video games under the guise of political de-radicalization as a way to censor the internet. Meanwhile, all the free speech guys cheer this on because they want certain streamers banned over personal vendettas. It is pathetic. They don't understand it. There is a reason why I have, especially in the aftermath of October 7, consistently said, whenever people go, hey, shouldn't this person be deplatformed? I've consistently said, I am not going to advocate for deplatforming anyone, especially because I know that the crosshairs are on me first and foremost. Okay? Of course, that hasn't stopped Asmongold, Tectone, and numerous others that have actively advocated not only for deplatforming, but for the government to literally take action, which would be obviously a direct violation of the First Amendment, direct violation of freedom of speech, beyond like cancel culture and whatnot. And now it's unfolding. Not that it matters. Moral consistency in this regard does not matter. Okay? When you call for violence, yes. See, everyone is going to try and make this seem as though this is a sincere request. Okay? That's it. That's all this is. Right-wingers that want to enact out a personal vendetta over a Twitch streamer that they dislike will try to turn around and say, no, dude, you've been calling for violence people. Okay? And the reason why they can't associate me with anything related to Charlie Kirk is not seemingly stopping them from continuing along with this narrative. Right? Now, of course, as I've said already, ban me all day, every day, that's not going to stop the truth. And if you were to ban me, that's not going to, if you were to get me deplatformed successfully off of Twitch, I'll find a way. But even if I were to, even if my career were to be over, right? Even if I had no platform whatsoever to speak on issues that I think are important to address, that still would not change your life. If you are a right-winger who is excited about the prospect of making the government take care of someone who you find to be a nuisance, someone who you despise, make no mistake, this will eventually harm you as well. Okay? Not only will this eventually harm you as well, because of course they're going to come after you too, because this is about broad censorship. There is going to inevitably be an opinion that you have, whether it be on Israel, for example, or any number of different reasons. And the government will say, this is political dissent. We don't like it. And they will come after you too. I know it's very difficult for you to comprehend that right now because you're too excited at the prospect of imagining a world where you've taken a scalp, where you've successfully been able to deplatform this woke Antifa guy. right? Having said that, however, this is not going to put more money in your pocket. This is not going to make you more likely to retire at a reasonable age. This is not going to make your health care more affordable or free. It's just not going to fix any of the real issues in your life, the issues that I fight for every single fucking day. Your former podcast host and Dan Stalkman are the main cause of this? Absolutely. This has been an ongoing initiative in the background for the past 2 years, since October 7. And a lot of people have actively aligned themselves with right-wingers because they know right-wingers are the only ones who would actually be crazy enough to push for this kind of deplatforming, to push for this kind of initiative. But it does not matter, right? The very same people that always said cancel culture is so stupid, using like age-old things that are taken out of context to associate a person's entire worldview with like a 10-second fucking soundbite is so stupid, are very clearly utilizing that and weaponizing that entire thing, as they have done so over and over again. Okay? But that's the goal. People who don't want to fight for improving their situation need something to feel better about, so they need some small wins. No, I think that's exactly what it is. But the left wing did the same thing, but now the shoe is on the other foot. It's just how these things work. No, that is incorrect. Okay? That is incorrect. Especially for someone like myself. If you're coming to me and telling me that, you're definitely wrong. Okay? As a matter of fact, the reason why there's a lot of radlibs who fucking hate me is because of my consistent advocacy for reform, rehabilitation, and my lack of interest in hyper-focusing on culture war issues that pertain to cancellations and things of the like. Do you understand? There's a reason why there's so many like people who present themselves as leftists who will be like, I fucking hate Hasan. He's right-wing. He's actually secretly right-wing. The reason why they say that is because whenever people come to me with demands of deplatforming people, I always say, I'm not interested in that. That's a big part of it. No, that's not the reason. Okay. Well, there's also a bunch of different things that I advocate for that they disagree with, whether it be like, I don't know, American imperialism, whether it be Israel, you know, whether it be able to reconsider the way that they've learned about American history, for example. There's a million different reasons why someone could be upset about my commentary. They posted on IG that you wish this would happen to Hilo, like how deranged they have to be. Yeah, that was so ridiculous that no one actually picked that up because it's a completely hysterical perspective. Okay? Yeah, these guys don't realize you talked to Asman the literal day after he made those genocide comments. You weren't trying to get him banned. The exact opposite occurred. Exactly. And many people yelled at me over it. They said I was actually whitewashing and laundering his reputation. If you recall, there was never a moment where I actually advocated for deplatforming. Now, that doesn't matter, right? It's clear that that doesn't matter. Taylor Loren says, the government is using the shooting as a pretense to censor the internet and deplatform progressive creators, and Democrats continue to go along with it. They're going to jawbone all day, ram through COSA, repeal Section 230, and worse, unless we fight back hard to protect online speech. A big part of this equation is anti-Israel sentiment. I promise you, if I was a pro-Israel progressive, okay, which obviously is oxymoronic, but if I was, this wouldn't be as major of an issue. 100%. There would be no calls to deplatform someone such as myself by the ADL. There would be no calls. There would be no liberals turning the other cheek when they see this initiative coming from the right. This is punishment directed for that issue first and foremost. You can try to find any way to cut it in your mind to make it seem as though there's other reasons for it. Oh, he deserves it, this and that. But people only say you're secretly a right-winger because many people prescribe to categorize beliefs instead of allowing for nuance where morals, belief, ethos determine specific responses to real-world issues. Theory only applies so far. They're trying to make an example of you because you put Zoran and Cuomo was attacking with the 9/11 statement. Exactly. I've had liberals who have also put the spotlight on me in a negative fashion, like Andrew Cuomo, Eric Adams. This is a real fear for some people. I mean, obviously, Richie Torres was the first guy who pushed for this long time ago, leading up to the election. This was before the election. I just noticed the hearing is one day after October 7th. Yeah. But you didn't do anything wrong. Why are they going after you? It doesn't matter. I need you to understand. It's not about doing something wrong. Okay? It's not about doing something wrong. It has nothing to do with that. It's because of my perspective. It's because of what I advocate for. And this is, unfortunately, something that I have considered from day one. It was an inevitability that once it got to a point where my audience grew to a certain level, my platform grew to a certain level, that inevitably people in positions of power would find that to be dangerous and would want to do everything in their power to take me out. We're there now. I will be honest, I'm shocked that it didn't happen sooner. That's it. But remember, there is this mentality that you have in your mind where you think the government, why are they doing this? This doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's going to be 100% about the clip chimps. Have your context counter arguments ready, of course, but it doesn't matter because there is no way that the official organs of the government, like there's no way that I will be able to, even with like a big media push or whatever, be able to overcome the faucet of right-wing propaganda paired up with the official organs of the government taking the initiative to fucking slander and smear a singular Twitch streamer. That's it. That's it. Part of the reason why they're doing this is so that they can get media attention to it. Here's a corresponding piece. Laura Loomer, Elon Musk, and virtually every single right-winger since the moment of Charlie Kirk's assassination has actively put the crosshairs on myself and some other members of the left as well, or people that they foresee as being a part of the Democratic Party's messaging operation. I'm the most visible and the most accessible left-wing content creator in North America. So, of course, I would be public enemy number one. There are Democrats on this committee as well. And I am certain, there are going to be Democrats that would want to be on this committee, that would waive to get on this committee as well. If this actually ended up happening and like the Twitch CEO actually like showed up, right? Because there's also that too. Dan Classy could just not show up. There are congresspersons on the minority side that I know personally as well, that I can talk to as well. I mean, there's Greg Kazar, there's Summer Lee, there's Maxwell Frost, there's Ro Khanna. So there's Ayanna Pressley. There are certainly Democrats on there that I am certain would do a decent job of defending the freedom to dissent openly and freely. Why don't you bring up Whitney Webb? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me? Shut up. Take a week off. Jesus Christ. You just keep spamming Whitney Webb over and over again. Oh my God. I have brought up Whitney Webb in the past. Jesus Christ. Your saving grace here is that ranking member Robert Garcia has said he's seen your content and knows that you're not the issue. He's also said He said more in some circles. I mean, there's that as well. Lamau, they didn't invite the YouTube CEO. That means they have control over YouTube. I hope Dan doesn't go in there like a naive guy. It's very odd. Oh, Rashida Tlaib is also on here as well. So there's a bunch of Democrats that I know personally on this list on the minority side, right? There's also Marjorie Taylor Greene, which ironically enough could be a saving grace on the Republican side for someone such as myself as well, because she definitely has seen and has criticized a lot of the censorship initiatives, especially as it pertains to Israel. So, of course, that doesn't matter. I think there is a higher priority to clean up and pack up any kind of political dissidents, any kind of uh, political counter messaging. So I suspect that she won't be as enthusiastic. For people that say, dude, context, there will come a point, I hope, where you will understand that context is irrelevant. Okay? For slop tubers, context is irrelevant. This is about smearing. This is about attempted deplatforming. Context does not matter. The truth does not matter. Okay? What matters is the fight you have to put up. It's that simple. Lying is overpowered, and everything here is being done in a partisan basis. The Colorado school shooter from the same day that Charlie Kirk was killed posted himself holding his gun right here on Twitter/X, where he followed multiple far-right accounts. Weird how you wouldn't call on Elon Musk to testify at an online radicalization hearing. Yeah. That's the thing. Every platform, America is violent across the board, and every single social media platform has reflected on that violence. Every single social media platform has had a shooter, a political shooter, a mass shooter, a school shooter, either get radicalized on said platform or post on said platforms. There are obviously protective measures in the legislation that try to ensure that these platforms are not held liable and therefore can continue at least like presenting some semblance of free discourse. But that environment is changing. It is very obvious that environment is changing. It's very obvious that these guys don't want that to be the case anymore. And I think a big part of that reason is Israel. Just as the TikTok ban that was passed in a bipartisan manner came at the directive of the ADL and numerous other advocacy organizations. They want to make sure that they control all kinds of political discourse, political dissidents. Tyler Robinson, as far as we know, didn't have a fucking Twitch account. He might have. And the last part of this story that I want to address is this. The overwhelming majority of violence from nonpartisan independent investigations and even the Department of Justice, the overwhelming majority of political violence and domestic terror has happened in the hands of the far right. Far right anti-government extremism is responsible for the overwhelming majority of domestic terror incidents outside of 9/11. Okay? That's it. And there have been shooters that have detailed their ambitions, channeling the right-wing rhetoric that you hear from prominent right-wing content creators, all the way from Tucker Carlson to even Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro. And yet, no such initiative has ever been taken against those commentators. And the reason for that is because it creates a dangerous environment of censorship that liberals and Republicans alike understood up until this moment. Okay? That's it. We are now moving in the direction of the government taking a heavy-handed approach in silencing political dissent. And a lot of people on the right do not understand what they are doing. Okay? Right-wing creators have been named in actual manifestos. Right-wing creators were in investigations found to be responsible for the radicalization of many far-right shooters. You say liar because you are simply oblivious. You don't know the truth, and it's okay. All right? It's strange considering you've been following me since 2019, and this is the first time you've chosen to speak in this chat. Murderer. You want to murder. It's on the news. You want to murder people. It's on the news. No, you don't have to ban this guy. So many 2019 followers chirping for the first time this week. Yeah. Unironically, when they come for you, what are you going to do? Maybe the DSA guys could provide some amount of protection. No, they can't. No one can. The reality of the matter is the American government is immensely powerful, especially when it comes to dealing with domestic affairs. And if the American government is actively taking the initiative to go after left-wing content creators, left-wing advocates, left-wing organizers and activists, there's not much we can do. The only thing we can do is hope for the best and hope that these institutions that are holding on by a thread at this point will still apply some semblance of justice. The House Oversight Committee technically has no power. The House Oversight Committee does these kinds of shows of force in an effort to bully and ridicule people. So as long as the company doesn't capitulate, but there is, of course, no protection afforded to someone like myself in that regard. As long as the company doesn't capitulate, it doesn't go anywhere. It's not dissimilar to the ways in which there are outrage. There is a manufactured outrage, right, to demand bans for content creators. Sometimes Twitch leans into that, and they actually legitimize those claims, no matter how ridiculous, like in the case with Cracker, right? And sometimes they don't, and it goes away. In this circumstance, it's just entirely dependent on how much the larger company, Amazon, the company that Twitch is under, sees this as a imminent threat to its bottom line. There's also a real fear from these companies, no matter how powerful they seem, about what Donald Trump might do in retaliation to them. That's precisely the reason why so many top law firms immediately caved to Trump's demands to offer pro bono service to the federal government. The reason why they did so is because the Trump administration straight up said, you will never be able to step foot inside of a federal building if you don't do this. That is unprecedented. And instead of taking on this legal battle, many of the top legal companies in this country decided to cave and capitulate. But there is a little bit of hope that I have, at least, with respect to how they have behaved, how Harvard has behaved, for example, and chosen to fight back. Because that kind of response shows that these institutions are still there and they are still beholden to the truth, at least to a certain degree, and that this government is not all powerful. So it's entirely in the hands of billionaires and mega corporations and how much they choose to capitulate to demands being made by this authoritarian government. That's it. I hope people understand exactly what is going on here. Okay? I hope people understand that it's not just me either.